Hello, friends. I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic. I'm not great. I'm honestly not great. This test is really causing me a whole lot of stress. I know that lots of you have voiced your belief in me to take this test and to pass this test. Lots of people in my personal life have voiced their belief in me. All of my coworkers have voiced their belief in me. And yet I still don't feel like I'm ready to take this test. I know I'm not. I just took a practice test and scored 65. That's a fail. That's a long way away from a pass, which is 80%. That's a long way away from passing. It's not like I was close and I could have guessed a few questions. I was way off. And I've got 4 days. And that's scary. Like, that's really scary. And as I mentioned, I think yesterday, my brain isn't in it. Like, I'm having a really hard time focusing on studying. I'm having a very hard time keeping my brain on task. I'm having a very hard time caring, and that's the sad part. Like, I do care very, very deeply, but translating that care into results has been the difficult part. Because in my head, in my self kind of critical view of the world, if I cared enough, I wouldn't be having this focus problem. So is it a result, or is it a product of not caring, or is it a product of not being able to care? Are those the same thing, or are those different? I don't know, but I'm really struggling. I'm really, really struggling. Yeah, I don't even know how to, where do I go from a 65% in 4 days? I don't know. I don't know where I go. All of the study materials I have, I just keep going. I just keep studying. I just keep hitting things. Looking at, unfortunately, the practice test doesn't really tell you how you do based on the three process domains that PMI recognizes. Basically, there are three things. There's business processes, there's personnel processes, that sort of stuff. And you have to pass each of those domains, not necessarily like an overall score. You have to hit 80%, or I think it's actually 70% on the real test, which I guess I'm close to that, but I don't even, the practice test that they provide, it doesn't really tell you where you're deficient. Looking at the questions that I failed, the nice thing is, if you fail a question on the practice test, it gives you an explanation. A lot of times that explanation does not actually tell you the answer. It gives you more information, and hopefully you can figure out the correct answer. But it doesn't always, and that's frustrating. And looking at that, like, all of the data point type stuff I nail, right? Like, no problems figuring out data points, or figuring out, like, this is the process that does this, and that's a lot of the questions. The stuff that I'm not, there's a whole lot of kind of, I don't want to say behind the scenes, but there's a lot of questions that I'm missing that are like, what should the project manager do in this instance? And the answers, those are the ones that I've been complaining about. Those are the standardized test questions I'm not good at, where there's 4 good answers and you just have to pick the one that's more correct than all the others. And PMI has a very specific, breakdown of how to weight these answers. And if it was just a matter of memorizing a list, I think I could do that. But it's not how it is, right? It's situational knowledge, and testing situational knowledge is, to me, I don't know how to study for that, right? I don't know how to study. Is it better that I train the team or that I approach the project sponsor? I don't know. If it was me, I would approach the project sponsor. PMI says, no, you should train the team. Do I have authority to do that? I guess I do, Talking or listening to the people that have taught the classes that I've taken, they're all like, assume on this test that everything is going exactly by the book. And so if it's going exactly by the book, then me as a project manager, I have authority to train my team. in my current position as a project manager, I do not have that authority. I can't go authorize project training. That's not part of my responsibilities. And so I have to, maybe I'm looking at things through the framework of my current employer, where the project manager role that I'm in, I don't have any actual authority. Like I'm just a report writer. And that's probably how it's going to be, like moving forward. I need to put all that aside and assume I'm in this test. I have the authorities that are expected of a project manager, or the authorities that are recommended for a project manager to have. I have that, and I'm having a really hard time putting that aside. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I guess read more. I guess that's all I can do, is just keep reading, keep studying, retake the practice test on Monday, try to figure out where I'm at before I go there on Tuesday and fail. I don't know. It's honestly, it's a struggle right now. I'm really disheartened. Also, I broke the test up into 2 parts because I had a couple of morning meetings, so I figured I would do 2 hours here and do 2 hours here, and that second 2 hours I was missing way more questions. So maybe it's a product of that. Maybe I need to set aside a full, the 4-hour time block and just do it in straight 4 hours and see how that works out. That is at least the plan for Monday. So, we'll see how that works out. But I don't work well under stress like this. And I know that I'm placing all the stress on myself. Like, I don't want to let everybody down. Everybody says I'm going to pass. Okay. I'm not convinced I am, but now I have that pressure of not letting everybody down. That sucks. So I'm going to go back to studying. I'm going to go back to, I'm going to stop taking pity on myself and just go do what I can. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know sounds smart is lustration. It is a noun meaning purification through symbolic or ceremonial means or remembrances. After Melanie spent 6 months working with charities in the third world countries, we put her through lustration by reintroducing her to our favorite luxury boutiques. Lustration. Lustration. Don't you hate when you come back from those third world countries and you forgot the awesomeness of luxury boutiques?